Hello, this is Dr. Stanley Lang. Welcome to this broadcast, which is on the topic of pleasure versus happiness. And I'd like to review this simple concept because it is at the core of most people achieving the health that I think that God wants them to have or not achieving it. And so the issue for a lot of people living in this current day and age is that we are taught from all sorts of different kind of advertising that we should be having pleasure and seeking pleasure on a regular basis. And that pleasure is sort of our divine right. And it's not right that we're not experiencing pleasure. And especially we should never experience pain, which is the even farther down the path of not having pleasure. So what's the difference between pleasure and happiness? So a lot of people, when they think of the idea of seeking happiness, they might remember the Declaration of Independence and the idea that that we have a kind of a divine right for the pursuit of happiness. And a lot of people, when they think of pursuing happiness, they actually translate pursuing pleasure. So happiness is something that is like a mental state that is sustained or can be sustained over a long period of time, and it's not connected directly usually to intense physical pleasures. In fact, the pursuit of physical pleasures will almost always result in not very much happiness, because the pursuit of pleasure for the sake of pleasure always ends up with not fulfilling what the person thinks that they're seeking in the first place. And this leads to this issue leads to much of the addictive behavior that happens in our society. And we have more, I think, addictive behavior in our society now than at any time in history. Because if you include the addictive food behaviors that people have, the number of people that are literally addicted to something that they do for the sake of pleasure is astounding, and the cost in terms of physical health and emotional health is profound also, because when you pursue pleasure for the sake of pleasure and you want more of it, you always end up with disease of some sort. If you pursue happiness, you're pursuing things that have a potential of sustained feeling of happiness. There is not any reason that we have to cycle up and down from happiness to unhappiness. We will cycle from unhappiness to unhappiness if we're pursuing pleasure, but if we're pursuing the things that give true and sustained happiness, which basically are relationships and building relationships and helping other people, showing love and compassion, serving our friends, our family, all of these things can give sustained happiness, having meaning in our lives, all those things, those can give sustained happiness. But pursuing things that give us pleasure do not give sustained happiness. They inevitably don't give sustained happiness. And the more pleasurable and intense, the more intense the pleasurable experience, the more certain that it's going to end up with a significant plummet and lack of happiness, and then a seeking of that pleasurable experience again. And so many people are trapped in addiction to foods that give pleasure. And until we unplug from the trap that has been set for us in this society by a very sophisticated and crafty food industry and advertising industry, the people that are stuck in food cravings and food addiction are in just as bad a shape as people that are stuck in drug addiction, except that it's not as obvious, but it still leads to a great deal of disease. It's a part of why we have a diabetes epidemic and an obesity epidemic. It's not the whole story, but part of the answer is all of us taking a step back, I think, and remembering not to pursue pleasure, pursue happiness. And pleasure comes along the way at the right times, in the right doses, without having to pursue it. If we're pursuing legitimate happiness, if we pursue pleasure, we will be consistently disappointed, brought back into profound unhappiness because the pleasure level drops off that we are seeking, and we're going to go seek that pleasurable experience over and over again. And so I want to encourage you today to understand how the seeking of pleasure could be leading to your disease of body, mind, and spirit. And so there is a way out, and that's to seek true happiness. And the most profound happiness is whole person health happiness, where we are pursuing right relationships with the right people. So the most important relationship is the relationship with God. The relationships then with our family come after that. And then the other people that we're responsible for come after that. And when we're pursuing right relationships in these relationships, then we will have happiness. We don't have to pursue happiness directly. The pursuit of these relationships and building them up to be healthy will lead to happiness without directly pursuing happiness. And we don't have to pursue pleasure, because pleasure will come at the right time, in the right doses, in the right places, when we're pursuing happiness in the right way. I wish you well and good health. God bless, and have a great day.